Hi, and welcome to another episode of Castoshi. In today's episode, we'll do something a little bit different. I've been making the podcast since November last year, and we've done 25 episodes so far. So I just wanted to have a quick recap into where we've been, what we've done in those episodes, and where we want to go. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi, welcome to a special edition of Castoshi where I go over the past 25 episodes of Castoshi and I talk about what was discussed in those episodes, and I also start to think about why I started Castoshi and whether Castoshi has achieved the aims that I wanted it to. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the website, castoshi.net. Now, let's look at the previous episodes. So, the first episode... Okay, so this first episode was just me sitting in my garage, and I was literally just talking about why I'm starting the podcast, and it was stuff like I want to learn how blockchains work properly, and I also wanted to understand it at a deeper level, and that's what I was talking about in this episode. It was literally just myself speaking. Okay, that was the first episode. That was in November last year. Okay. The second episode. Okay. So the second episode is talking about an article that I wrote in 2015. And that article was about Bitcoin and where I saw it was going to go. At that time, this was like 7 years ago, and at that time I saw, the time Bitcoin was like $200, and I was saying it's going to go to $1 million. So I did have a thesis, and the basic thesis was basically I had everything stolen in the MTGOX hack, and I never saw Bitcoin as money, simply because I thought it was going to fluctuate too much, and I think that's correct. I mean, people see it as a store of value, more like people see property. And I also saw Bitcoin is being used to timestamp transactions, and that's kind of happened with other blockchains. I also wrote that Bitcoin's value will go up simply because it costs a lot of money to mine it, which is one thing we know today, but another thing is it costs a lot of money to store it. So I said in 2015 that Bitcoin will end up being stored like a traditional bank stores money, and it will need paper wallets, vaults, security guards, insurance, and that's an ongoing cost. So that will increase the value of Bitcoin as well, simply because it costs a lot to store. I did in my episode. In this second episode, I did talk about what I got right and wrong with my prediction, and I think one thing I didn't foresee was the rise of DeFi and smart contracts and all that. So, and the reason why this matters to me is is I want to know where crypto's going, because I'm building things in the space, and I don't want to build applications that that are on a dead end. Kind of like if, in the old days, if you built an application on the Palm Pilot. Now, you probably never heard of the Palm Pilot. You just use the iPhone. So I want to make sure I don't end up developing today an application on the equivalent of the Palm Pilot, which is a dead end. So it doesn't matter where you build things. The third episode, this was in December, and this was when I was trading and learning about DeFi, and I lost a small fortune. Maybe you could even call it a big fortune on DeFi, on Fantom. And the downside is I lost a fortune for myself and certain people, but I also learned a huge amount of knowledge. Sometimes you have to get punched in the face to actually learn something. And this was me getting punched in the face. I hadn't made the loss yet here. I made the loss around a few months later, actually. Okay. Episode 4 was when I was just starting to learn smart contracts, Solidity, and I was just what was I doing here? I was just looking at the language, and since this episode I've actually learned a lot of Solidity and written quite a few smart contracts. So and this was part of why I wanted to make the podcast in the first place, because I wanted to learn how crypto works at a deep level, and I still feel that learning Solidity is an important part of that. Okay. Episode 5 was actually my first episode with an outside company, with Gamers Gold, with Steffen Kirkegaard. So they're making a DeFi platform. Let's see how they're doing. Gamers Gold. Okay. They're still building, and I think they've got a deal. I think they've been building with Concordium blockchain, but I'm not sure. But it'll be interesting to maybe get an update from them at some point, or to see how they're doing. So I wish them good luck. But so that was December. So okay, we could in a few months see how they're doing. So the idea of what they're doing is that you have gamers doing battles on different gaming, on different online games. Some of them on the blockchain, some not on the blockchain. And as far as I can remember, when the game is finished, there's some sort of log that comes out of the games to say who won and what the score was. So the idea of Gamers Gold is that they find out who won, and people get tokens based on who won the battle in that game, and they're trying to make a universal token that runs over every single game, so that people can basically earn money if they're a good gamer. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Okay, so episode 6, we never got approval to release that, because it was a great episode. We had a fantastic guest, but unfortunately, I can't really talk about that. but maybe one day we'll release that, a hugely edited version. Episode 7 was an interview with, this was about 6 months ago now, so Frank Schuil of Cefello. You may not have heard of them, but they're the largest Bitcoin exchange in Sweden, and I think they've gone public on Nasdaq. So they're doing well as a company, fantastic as a company, but they've got a very small market cap. But anyway, this is not financial advice, so this is just to let you know who they are. And they were talking about the market and what people are doing, and very interesting. So if you want to buy Bitcoin in Sweden, use the fellow. Okay, this was very good. I interviewed Sam Kamani of Insider, and I think Insider was like a prediction market where you could try and predict the price of Bitcoin or any crypto token in the future, and somehow it would learn from that. And it was interesting. Anyway, I think Sam has now joined another company called, let me see, he's written a book as well called A 30-Day Startup. He's done a TED Talk. Founder Sam Kamani. Anyway, I think he's working for another company. Is it Moonstream? I'm not sure now. But he was the first, I'd say, really knowledgeable in a deep way into how Web3 and smart contracts work. So, yeah, he's here. He's working at Moonstream, which he actually helped me interview as well. So he's great, fantastic. He's fantastic. So so through him I was starting to learn about like how people get hacked and stuff like that. Episode 9 was Arvin Khamseh, who basically helps people market NFT projects, and he had some multi-million pound projects that he marketed. So yeah, he got into NFTs at the right time, and yeah, it was very educational for me, because he showed me that whether you're doing NFTs or something else, at the end of the day, you have to have a proper like strategy. You can't, if you're just doing it to make a quick buck, it's not a good project. You have to have like a strategy, and you have to have a roadmap going forward, because otherwise, what are people buying? Like people are buying into your vision as well. So he's fantastic. He was great. So what was after that? After that was okay. So what was the company? The company here was I'm trying to find the name of it. That's it, yeah. Here, Green Hashes. So they're trying to make a system where, at that time, where they were saying that you could capture carbon, and it's 500 times cheaper than any other method. I don't know if how they are with that, but maybe that's something we could catch up on at some point. Apna carbon, that's an Indian saying, means our carbon, I think. In Hindi, I think. Okay, so that was that episode. Then after that, I spoke to this was Moonstream.io, who Sam Kamani introduced me to, and I think Sam is part of them now. And they were good, because they're good. What they do is they build blockchain infrastructure to try and secure web gaming companies. So very interesting thing. You should check them out. Moonstream. They're here. Moonstream. Here. Very interesting company. Very technical, deep level. There's a few of these companies now, but yeah, they're good. really knows his stuff, and at the Solidity Ethereum level, so it's a very deep level. Okay. Next, that was this one. Next, Katie Chonacas. So she really taught me about NFTs. So she's like she's a former actor, and now she's also been a musician, I think, appearing with 50 Cent in a concert as well. And she's now she's doing music. She's still doing music, and she's also releasing. She's got some like TV shows, and she's released a lot of her work as NFTs. So she really opened my eyes as to the fact that NFTs are like a big business now, and that Hollywood is really getting into NFTs. Because I was always thinking that NFTs were just like a few of us geeks, but I was I was not. I was wrong. It's really a lot bigger than I thought, and Katie really helped me to understand that. So thanks, Katie, and she really like gets out there in this space, and she's very she's a real doer. She really like goes out and just does like an NFT collection, an art collection, a music collection. I was quite impressed. Okay. Where's Katie anyway? Let's find out. Where's Katie? Chonacas.com, is it? Chonacas.com. So here's her website. Check it out. Yeah. Oh, she's got some new projects as well. Podcast host as well. Okay. So next one is okay. So this is Project Kepler. This is interesting. So let's have a look. So this is a metaverse, and what it is now, I remember this episode. So some cool guys, and they are they're trying to build a metaverse which is hyper realistic, and they're trying to do it so that people who have a big fan base can basically invite their fans online. And so let's see how they're doing. When was this? This was in May, and okay, they're still building, I think. But they've got a Kepler marketplace coming soon. I can't see what it is. Okay, so there's quite a few people involved. Yeah, I spoke to these guys, Tom and Urav. So, okay. Yeah, interesting. So they're still working on it. It looks like they're still working on it. Okay. Here's another one I did. Carbon trading on the blockchain, episode 14. So this was... these are interesting guys who are trying to... They do this thing called 6C index, and 6C index, they're trying to make a new type of carbon trading token, I think. So I can't remember exactly how it works, to be honest, but it was. But they're trying to reduce. They're trying to reduce. They're trying to make it so that when companies produce carbon, they actually pay the true cost of that carbon production, something like that. Anyway, it was very interesting. I can see here they're built on Telos blockchain, which is one of the Ethereum compatible blockchains, I think. Yeah. Yeah. It's an EVM, Ethereum virtual machine. Of course, it makes sense to say they're green, I guess, if it's a carbon thing. So these guys are still going, and I spoke to these guys. I think the video went. I spoke to Demian, Klenk, and Daniel, and I think they kept hopping on and off the call or something. But we did see that they were actually there. It wasn't me just talking to myself. Oh, there, yeah. They were at some point, but anyway, okay. So that was quite interesting. They got quite a lot of views because we just started out, and that was in June. Okay, and then this one here, a journey from traditional to crypto finance. Oh, this was fantastic. This was with Martha. And she worked in traditional finance for many years, and she's moved to crypto, and now she basically told us how financial people are learning like crypto development, like Solidity, and learning, because Solidity is the language of smart contracts. So I learned a lot from her, and she also, because she came from South America, she was saying how she saw a lot of the same things happening with inflation now in the West happened in South America many years ago, and how we have to be careful because at first we might disbelieve there's a problem, but there could be a serious problem. Anyway, she was fantastic. This episode, How Not to Move the Market, with Noah, he was very interesting. So one of the things he's trying to solve is when you're trading on an exchange, you can have problems with liquidity, especially if you have a large buy or sell order. So he's trying to find a way so that you can smooth the curve and you don't have these big spikes, jumps and drops. And he's from this company called, he's made something called Coordisc. So that was very interesting. Very clever guy, this guy here. So we'll keep tabs on him to see if anyone actually starts to use his system. Maybe some exchanges will license it. You never know. Okay, so what's this one? Building Kickstarter for the crypto world. So these guys are trying to build, like basically Kickstarter, but in crypto. So it sounded very interesting. Let's see. They're still around, trying to revolutionize funding. And when we're talking about this, we're talking about things like DAOs, DAOs, that's spelt. So DAOs and things like that. They're still around. Still early access. So I guess like some of the companies I interviewed were very like they don't have products yet. Like which ones of these? These guys don't have a product yet. This one doesn't have a product. This one doesn't yet. This one doesn't yet. This one doesn't. Okay, so some of them are in the market already, and some of them are developing. I guess going forward, I'd like to interview people who've actually built and released stuff, if possible, or close to it. So anyway, Kickstarter for the crypto world is a very good idea because you can build it with a DAO, and it's a good idea. Then this one was interesting. Tin DeFi, Juan Gasca. So very confident guy. and he's trying to build a system where all of these really early stage crypto projects can basically go to get evaluated and trade. And I mean, if he gets it working, it'll be amazing, because I mean, there's literally thousands of places on the web where people are trying to, you could say, shill, or to sell it early ICO. But he's trying to make a special platform for it so that you don't have to go to a million different places. Anyway, very interesting. Let's see if this works out. I don't know. I mean, they've got quite a few people working, and we'll see. Okay. Very confident guy. He could. So anyway, this was very good. This is a company that's been around for, like, I think 10-20 years or something, and this is a former Sony PlayStation executive, and he's also, he's done a lot of like superheroes marketing and stuff like that, and he's now moved to where is it? He's moved to Good Gaming, and they've made something called MicroBuddies. So this is a very old company, publicly traded as well. Fantastic guest he was, and he basically said, when you're going to make NFTs or anything, he said, you have to have a brand story. Don't just say, like, NFTs are just a technology. He was saying, you have to think of your brand first, and then realize there's different outlets for that brand. It might be TV, it could be Netflix TV series, it could be a cartoon, a comic, an NFT. So don't just look at the technology and say, I'm just about the technology. He said, look at the, there has to be a business around it, and that means proper, like, branding. So so this is one of the successful brands they have. Okay. Okay, so David Sterling, fantastic host, and they're doing really well. Okay. Next we had this was interesting. So, tokenizing food production on the blockchain. This was Ashish, and what they do is, if you're a farmer in India, you can basically take your food produce, and if you don't think you're going to get the best price in market at the moment, then what you do is you take your food produce to one of his 1,400 warehouses in India, and they give you like 70% of the value of that food. And then, as long as it's something that doesn't, that can last for a few months, up to a few months, and then once you realise you can sell the produce at market, then you get the product back, and you pay off the initial loan, and you can get the product back, and then you go and sell it at market. So it's for farmers who might have cash flow issues. And then they want to just, and then they don't want to sell their produce at too low a price. So I've got high hopes for this company. And this is Brew Finance here. Fantastic idea. Really like mixing DeFi in the real world. It was amazing. And I did try and ask him some tough questions, and he was able to answer most of the stuff, so that was good, and I want to keep track of them. Okay, what was next? Next was this one, mental health. Now this is a big issue, because a lot of people who in crypto could have mental health issues, because you might have suddenly made or lost, probably most likely lost a lot of money. So Hala Adbul was basically talking about this like psychology behind it, and you can get help, and if you get help, it's good, because if you're in crypto, you don't want to make too many emotional decisions. You want to make you don't want to be start panicking and then suddenly sell everything at the lowest price and then buy everything at the highest price. And that's what FOMO is, fear of missing out. And a lot of people do that. They buy at the highest price because they're buying based on emotion, so stick to the facts. But if you're having issues, you should check out Hala's website. And I apologise, we'd misspelt her name on the podcast, but actually, so Hala Adbul, that's Abdul, and she can help you with mental health issues related to crypto. Then I talked with Labelcoin, and they seem to be very interesting, because they where was I? It's either one or were we ever both on the call at the same time? I don't know. No, maybe not. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, so Mark is making a platform so that if you're an artist, you can sell your music, parts of it as an NFT. And that's very interesting, because and they've even got quite a few people signed up already. So I didn't get many hits on that. I'm not sure why, because I thought he was a very interesting guest. So let's see. Oh, what's happened here? Okay, so how it works. Yeah, you sell a future income stream of your music, and they have actually got quite a few people on their platform. And I'd actually heard some of the stuff before, actually, I will admit. So very good concept if you're a musician or want to invest in music. They've got big ambitions. Okay, that's Labelcoin. This was fantastic. Maybe my favourite episode. Brian Demian, who wrote Bitcoin Evangelism, the book. Here. And he really knows his stuff, and he talked about Bitcoin and inflation and how the US could get out of debt and all sorts of stuff. And he was very interesting. So he's also a martial artist as well, by the way, but that's got nothing to do with crypto. It's just something I realised when I was watching his videos. Very good book. So I'm going to catch up with him at some point as well, again. Then episode 24, Radix, who make a DeFi platform. I think they were valued at quite a few $1 billion at one point. And we did this recently. We got quite a few hits. Basically, they're trying to... they've made their own blockchain, and they've made their own development system, and they've made their own language as well. So they're not using Solidity to build smart contracts. And they're trying to basically reimagine all of DeFi. So it's a hugely ambitious project. Quite a few people working there, very smart guys, and this is definitely one to watch, because there's a few of these big world computer type projects like Dfinity, Radix, Ethereum, of course, Solana. So this is like the first blockchain, I'd say, that I've actually interviewed, and I'd like to interview more blockchains. Then the latest episode was with Jeff Hancock of CoinPass, and and we had a good, we just discussed a few current events because we wanted to test the podcast with a discussion about some news items, like current news items. So that was very interesting, and so that's the 25 episodes we've had so far. Since about halfway through, I think is it here or here? I think since episode 14, you can see that the imagery has changed, because this is where Damex, which is a local Gibraltar-based exchange and OTC desk, fantastic company, has taken over the editing, and they're starting to, and they've been providing some input to us, to the podcast. There was a bit of a change, and we're experimenting with different things anyway, to try and increase start to increase the viewership now. Now, I said I'd talk about why I did this podcast, and in the beginning it was really just a way for myself to learn about crypto, and I can honestly say I've really become quite expert in a lot of stuff in crypto, because I've been building my own platform here, yaz.com, and I want to make sure that it's an open source project as well. You can see here it's 500 and something stars, and I want to make sure that I build my own product which uses a lot of crypto in the back end, and I want to make sure I build it in the right way, not just say this is crypto. I want to make sure I understand crypto, where it's going, what it can do, so that I only use the parts of crypto that make sense, if they make sense. And Yaz, just so you know, it's basically a decentralized development tool. So you can build apps that can't be taken down, and it's open source, so you can also just have like an app store in your company and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm trying to gain knowledge for that project, and I think I started to have gained most of that knowledge by about June this year. I was quite comfortable. But now there's still a lot of stuff I have to learn, and up to now I've been speaking to a lot of different projects, but I need to start diving deeper into really technical interviews, kind of like with these guys, like with Radix or with Brian DeMint, or anyone who can talk to me about how different mechanisms within the blockchain work, because I'm very interested in, for example, should I just deploy an Ethereum or Polygon? If I have to make an asset, how should that asset work cross-chain, multi-token, that sort of thing. So I also need to start building up a roadmap of where I see the future going, and that could be something that's also useful to viewers of the podcast. So you might notice in a lot of my episodes, I often say to the guests, I say to the guest, where do you see the future? And a lot of guests are sometimes a bit phased by this, but and they say I have no idea, but I want to find people with an opinion who are planning and strategizing about where the future is going to be in 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Because the further forward you can look, the better short-term decisions you can make. So I really want to start doing some technical interviews. And as I said earlier, we're also starting a weekly news segment as well, and that's going to be with someone from Knightsbridge, Mark. His name is. They're a local company here in Gibraltar. Okay. So I think that's it. So overall, I'm quite happy with how the podcast has gone, but up to now, it's kind of been just me learning the basics of crypto. But now I really want to start diving deep diving, and I want to start really looking into a lot of concepts from people like Balaji, who's got this concept of the network state here, and it's basically saying that you can start to have countries built based on cryptocurrency and things like that. So yeah, I think that I'll finish it here. But so far, I've got it started. I've got the momentum going now, and now I really need to go to the next level. So thanks a lot for listening. Thank you.